This is the Average to Savage podcast with Paul Guarino. Everyone and anyone, athletes, celebs, and much more.
What's up, everybody? I'm back for another episode of the Average Savage podcast. Our special guest today is UFC lightweight Luis Pena, a.k.a. Violent Bob Ross, who is currently 7-1. Luis, how's it going?
I'm pretty good, man. Pretty good. Just chilling, getting ready for training.
Yeah, appreciate you coming on.
Oh, it's no problem.
So let's go back. You were born in Naples, Italy, on a Navy base, and you were adopted. So could you give me a little bit of background on your upbringing, and then how did you end up in Little Rock, Arkansas?
So I was adopted and everything, and then my family, I want to say when I was 5 or so, we moved back to America, and we actually lived in Florida for a year, and then I moved to Arkansas. I actually grew up in Cabot, Arkansas, the hometown of Bryce Mitchell too. Like, we actually knew each other growing up. It's pretty weird.
Gotcha.
I didn't move to Little Rock until I was going to high school.
Gotcha. So did you know Italian?
No, I mean, yeah. My parents told me my first language is Italian, but I don't really have any memories of it. I was so young.
Gotcha. And then how did you end up getting into mixed martial arts?
Well, so I wrestled in high school and college and everything, and then I dropped out of college after a year, and I was working, just kind of helping coach my old high school wrestling team. And then one of my old rivals actually was reffing and training at an MMA gym, and he said one of his training partners, who ended up happening to be Bryce, was getting ready to fight a wrestler, and they asked me to come in and help him out and show him some stuff. And so I went in and started to help him out, and I started training myself, and the rest is history. I just never really wanted to leave.
Gotcha. I feel like that's how a lot of people start.
Yeah, pretty much. I've heard the same story from a lot of people. I mean, at the same time, I also think about it all the time because, I still don't understand how I got into it myself.
Yeah. Did you play any other sports growing up?
Yeah, I played football. I ran track. I was in gymnastics. I did cheerleading. Played a little baseball too. Yeah, I did it all. I did it all, really.
Yeah, you did a little bit of everything, huh?
Yeah, pretty much.
And then what was your first fight 2014 as an amateur?
Oh, man. That was, so the way I describe it to people, and most wrestlers that get into it will describe it to you the same way. It's whatever the highest thing you ever achieved, for me, that was a state championship in wrestling.
Yeah.
It feels like that every time you go out there and fight. And so, that's how I got hooked, was that feeling, getting that feeling over and over and over again. So that's why, I guess that's why I keep fighting.
Yeah, now, I know you went pro in 2016 as an MMA fighter, and I know in 2017 you did some pro boxing too, so did you do amateur boxing as well?
Yeah, I was actually a Golden Gloves champion in St. Louis.
Oh, okay.
In Missouri. I was a Missouri State Golden Gloves champ.
Gotcha. And so what was it like for your first pro MMA fight versus your first amateur fight?
I mean, for me, by the time I had went pro, I was I want to say between amateur kickboxing, boxing, and amateur MMA. By the time I went pro as a mixed martial artist, I probably had 30-something fights.
Yeah.
So I was super, there was no nerves. I mean, it was my pro debut, and the guy I was fighting was actually the last dude I lost to as an amateur. But I wasn't really worried about it. I don't know. I knew I trained hard. I knew I trained with the best guys that I possibly could, and I was really prepared. Whereas, the first time I ever went out and fought as an amateur, I had no clue what the hell was going to happen.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, that's a little bit of everything. So, say when you're boxing or whatever, is there ever a moment where you want to kick, but you obviously can't?
No, not really. I don't know. I did a lot of different styles of wrestling growing up, so it was it was kind of similar to that. But I don't know. I'm very competitive, so like going out there and beating someone in what they do was very, like, it meant something to me. So like I got very into like the rules of boxing and kickboxing when I would do it, you know?
Yeah. And
like that's actually one of the big things I can't stand about being signed to the UFC is that like I can't take boxing fights in between my MMA fights anymore.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, yeah, actually, that's what I was going to ask you, too. So, in 2017, I remember I saw the picture, and you fought Vaughn Alexander, and you were like, oh, shit, like, how'd you know that was Vaughn, how'd you know that was, like, Vaughn Alexander? So, like, how'd that fight come about?
I knew, like, I mean, I'm a pretty big boxing head. Like, I probably pay attention to boxing more than I do MMA, really. Yeah. And, so, yeah, I just knew who Vaughn and Devin were, and, for being the guy that I am in MMA, like I was always kind of known as like taking fights, and so a promoter hit me up on like 16 hours notice, was like, hey man, would you fight this dude I have tonight? And I'm like, who is it? He's like, Vaughn Alexander. And I'm like, I thought about it, and I'm like, oh man, Vaughn Alexander, I know he just got out of jail. And like, you see, the kind of guy that I am, when that offer was presented to me, like I had to take it, because it's like I had to test myself. Like I had to see, because people talk about being hard, like being real as fuck, and like being a gangster and all that bullshit. But it's like when it comes time to do like some real ass shit or do some real gangster ass shit, are you really gonna step up to the plate and like put your money where your mouth is? And I was like, you know what? I say that I'm real as fuck, and I say I do this fighting shit. Let's see. Let's do it. Let's go. Let's test you. Let's test the fucking waters. That's the way I felt. Like, and I just don't think you see a lot of guys like that these days anymore.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. So it was 16 hours notice, and you're just like, fuck it.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I'm like, dude, this is one of those things where I can tell my kids, like, hey, I went out there and did some shit that like I knew was. Like, you never, like, because, like, yeah, it's easy to go out there and prepare for a fight and take a fight, that especially against a guy that you think you can beat. But then when it's like, Ben Askren said it best. It's like that true fighter mentality is like being able to say, yes, I'll take that fight when you don't know if you're going to get your ass kicked or not.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right, going to like the Ultimate Fighter, how'd you get casted for that?
So it's funny that you ask, because like once again, I was actually getting ready to. It was the fight week of another professional boxing match I had. Mm-hmm. I was in the middle of cutting weight, and like I was scrolling through Instagram, and I just saw the flyer for the tryouts, and I saw that you had to be undefeated in MMA, and I'm like, I'm 4-0, and I just thought about it for a second, and I was like, man, the Ultimate Fighter. For the kind of guy I am, and for the way this whole Violent Bob Ross thing is starting to really take off, this could be the perfect avenue for me to get to the UFC. And I sat there and I thought for a second in the sauna, and I was like, fuck it, let's do it. I contacted a couple of my sponsors, and they funded my trip out to Vegas. And the rest is history. I went out there, participated in the tryouts, and I got my spot.
Yeah, now besides, like, them knowing like your MMA record and stuff, did you have to like go through any like casting thing where they wanted to like learn your personality and stuff like that?
Oh yeah. So the way the tryouts worked in the beginning, so the very first thing we did after all the registration stuff, you did like grappling rounds. So they split it up by weight class: 145, 155, and 170. And so each weight class would go into a room that had mats and everything, and from there they would just randomly match people up, and you would do a 90-second grappling round to see, and like it was just kind of to gauge everyone's level of grappling. And then after that, you would like they would section people off on the mat, and then mitt holders would come in, and people would hold like Thai pads and focus mitts for guys, and you just had like a minute or I think it was like a minute and a half or 2 minutes to like just do whatever you wanted. And Mick Maynard and Sean Shelby just walked around and watched people. And then if you made it past that round of qualifications, Like, if you made it past the grappling and the mitts, then you got to go on to interviews. And then if you made it past the interviews on the first day, then you were in for the rest of the week. And, like, if you made it past that first week, they sent us home. And we didn't actually know, by the time we got done with the first week of, like, tryouts and casting and everything, we actually didn't, like, they had narrowed it down to about 20 145ers and 20 155ers. They had, like, dropped the 170s completely. But at that point, we didn't know who was going to be the actual cast and who was going to be the alternates.
So then how did you get the offer?
So I remember my manager texted me while I was in practice. It was like in between striking, and I was like I just finished up my striking practice, and I was going to get my gi on. I just happened to check my phone, and as I'm putting my gi on, I see my manager text me, "You're in the Ultimate Fighter," and I just started going fucking nuts. Like, I was like, oh shit, like, this is real. And then I remember, like, man, like, I couldn't believe, like, it was one of those things where, like, man, I just could not believe that this was happening. Like, I made it, because I knew, like, with the whole Violent Bob Ross aesthetic, with the way I fight, with, like, it was just a perfect package for this show. And I ended up being right, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm not going to lie, that's the only Ultimate Fighter I watched, and I was like, the first time I saw you, I was like, this guy's going to be a star. Like, I just knew it. Like, I didn't even see you fight, I didn't even, like, look up your record or anything. I mean, obviously I knew it was undefeated, but yeah. And then how'd that ultimately, like, change your life, I guess you'd say?
Well, I mean, it all starts with the coaches, DC and Stipe.
Yeah.
I just happened to be lucky that it ended up being their season, because me and DC ended up, you know, connecting. He connected me with Rosendo, Rosendo Sanchez, who ended up being, like, probably my best coach I've ever had. And not even my best coach, probably one of my best friends. Like, I talk to Rosendo about everything. Like, he's the one guy in my life, and one of the few coaches in my life that I go to for anything. And it's like, I just, that whole experience of the Ultimate Fighter has changed my life in dividends in ways I never thought.
Yeah. And what was your first UFC fight like?
You know, what's funny is, even though the Richie Smolin fight was the first fight on my UFC record, and it is technically my UFC debut, I don't know, it just felt like another day in the office. I didn't really get those, like, UFC feelings or those UFC jitters until fighting Truzano. Yeah. Mainly, I feel like that was mainly just because it was on the main card, and I was like, that meant a lot to me for some reason, being on the main card of the UFC's 25th anniversary show.
Yeah, I actually just had another person that was on Ultimate Fighter, and I asked them the same thing, like what do they count as the first UFC fight, like the Ultimate Fighter finale, or like when they're on the actual, like, UFC card? I think she said the same thing. Similar
the finale. Yeah, so they technically count my finale, the finale fight against Smolin, as my first UFC fight. But like I said, like, I don't know, it just felt like any other fight. I don't know. It was weird. Yeah. I was actually kind of surprised myself at how well I dealt with that going in, because there was a lot of attention on me. There was a lot of media, mainly because I had I had recently switched to AKA, and DC was fighting the next day. So, like, being in his camp, there was just a lot of buzz around me as well. So, like, I felt like, I don't know, I rose to that occasion pretty well. And it just took me time between then and, like, actually getting on, like, a UFC card, and not only getting on the card, but, like, being on the main card to where I'm at now, where it's like I want to be on the main card. Like, I thrive on it, and, like, I'm really, like, I'm looking forward to all the press and everything. And not that I never did. It's just, like, I'm looking forward to like, this. I look forward to, how do I put it, the way my star has grown, and, like, all the attention now, and, like, having to live up to that. Like, I really, like, it motivates me.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, now you're just getting used to it and stuff like that, comfortable and stuff like that.
Exactly.
I remember there was a little controversy. You wanted to bring out like the world flag, and they wouldn't let you because they had to get it like all approved or something like that. What was the meaning behind you wanting to bring the world flag out?
Because I mean, the way I look at it, I don't represent one country. I just represent everybody. That's what me, like, I might not be able to walk out with it myself, but one of my teammates, Salim Muldinov, he's actually fighting on October 4th for Bellator. I'm going to let him take the flag and walk out with it. He's the same way. It's the same message, you know. It's not about representing one set of people or one religion, one country. It's about, you know, bring us all together. And like trying to make it like to show people that it's like we're all just the same. We're all one human race.
Yeah. So is that flag still not approved?
I don't know. I mean, as much as you know, I want to. I don't want to buck the rock the boat. You know, bite the hand that feeds. So I just I'm waiting for them to let me know when it's cool.
And then, what's your experience been like at training out of AKA now, at like DC and Khabib?
I love it, man. It's the best training I've ever had in my entire life, without a doubt. And I get pushed every day. I get pushed to my limits just about every day. You know, not only that, but it's been really cool seeing my growth overall. Mm-hmm. I feel like I've grown exponentially as a fighter. Since I've been here, like just the way I approach things, not only on a physical but mental level now, it's very, very different. And I think it's at the next level where I need to be in order to be, you know, truly successful in my MMA career.
Definitely. And losing to Trezana, did that take like pressure off you? For like, I know it's like, in MMA, it's not really like the same as boxing with like wins and losses, but do you think it took pressure off you?
No, not really. I mean, it's weird. Even though I lost that fight, no one, like, a lot of people, there weren't too many people like talking about like him winning it so much as they were me losing. Yeah. So it's almost not necessarily that I gained pressure, but it's like, just never. I still feel like there was a very big expectation on me, especially like in the subsequent fights. Like and going into this one, I feel like there's even, you know, there's just as much expectation for me to go out there and perform. So it's like I would say like I'm in the same spot. Or I was in the same spot after the Trezana fight.
Gotcha. Do you want a rematch with him? Because I know it was a split decision.
I mean, yeah, of course. Yeah. I always do. You know, you always want to get that win back. But at the same time, I would also like to see us both, like, go our separate paths and meet up when it's, like, more appropriate. And especially when there's, like, more on the line.
Definitely. Can you take me through, like, what a camp looks like and you cut and weight?
So, I mean, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I pretty much hit mitts, do hard sparring, and do conditioning. That's just a regular, it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then Tuesday, Thursdays is straight grappling, wrestling on Tuesdays, jiu-jitsu on Thursdays. And then just kind of, like, at night, I'm kind of free to do what I want. So it's like I just kind of come up with what I want to do based on how I'm feeling. Like, some nights I'll go and I'll swim and I'll do a pool workout. Some nights I'll go do, you know, more boxing intensive workout just to work on my conditioning. And then some nights I'll just go grapple, you know. Just depends on what I want to do on those nights. And then Saturday, just depends, like I said, it depends on how things go Saturday. But usually I go up to Santa Rosa and work out with Cindo. We'll do mitts and then like bag drills and stuff like that, and then do the pool workout again. And then Sunday is my day off. I don't really, for 55, when it comes to like cutting, I don't really have to diet too much like in camp. I just like have to slowly taper my food and water intake on fight week, and I just get down.
Yeah,
I don't even really use the sauna to make 155. Like, I actually haven't used a sauna at all in my pro career to make 155.
Well, that's an intense workout. That's all I know. And October 12th, you're fighting Matt Frevola. That's Frevola. That's 7-1. Also, how do you see the fight playing out?
I mean, he's a tough dude. You know, he likes to come forward. He likes to throw bombs, get people to the ground, beat them up, choke them out. You know, very, very similar to Wyman. But I feel like, I mean, honestly, he kind of reminds me of a younger version of the guy I just fought, Matt Wyman. Yeah. So it's very similar game plan. You know, we're gonna try and keep from grappling, but at the same time, it's like I'm very confident. I believe in my jiu-jitsu and my wrestling. So it's like, if we have to go there and I have to play the grappling game, I don't mind. But the game plan's always stay long, stay strong, and hopefully get him out of there in the first and the second. What
advice would you give a young fighter?
Man, what advice would I give a young fighter? I don't know, man, because I know a lot of young guys, and their mindsets are very, like, even in the time, like, the short amount of time that I've been fighting, I've noticed a serious change in the mentality and the way guys are. And I don't know, I would just say toughen the fuck up. Like, God, just, like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, shit, I feel like the guys are looking at this as a game and not a brutal sport. Like, this isn't a game. This isn't something you go out there, you game the judges, you game the system. Like, you go out there, like, when you're that kind of guy, you're trying to win like that, you're going to meet a guy like me who goes out there to hurt people to win, a guy that wants to finish you to win, like a guy whose like main goal is to make sure you walk out of there remembering his name. And you're not going to come up gaming him. You're not going to win that judge's decision against him, because he's going to try and fuck you up.
All right, last couple of ones. These are some fun questions. They're going to go from average to savage. So how'd you get the nickname Violent Bob Ross?
Obviously the hair. You know, there's no other way to put it. The hair, the beard, and, like, you know, I smoke a lot of weed. I'm pretty laid back, so that whole aesthetic leans into the whole Violent Bob Ross thing very well.
What's your favorite song right now?
Ooh, favorite song right now. Differences by Genuine.
All right. What was your first big purchase?
My Xbox 360.
360?
Hell yeah, man.
Not an Xbox One?
No, I saved up so much money. No, this is when I was a kid.
Oh, no, I'm talking about when you became a UFC fighter.
Oh, when I became a UFC fighter? I bought a car. I bought 2 cars, actually.
Gotcha. What about top 5 favorite fighters of all time? Could be MMA or boxing, or both.
Thomas Hearns.
All right.
Well, actually, no. Nigel Benn, Thomas Hearns, Anderson Silva. Man. See, the thing is, a lot of my favorite fighters, like, I used to look up to, and now I'm just like, I might have to fight you. So,
yeah.
Definitely, okay, Nigel Benn, Thomas Hearns, Anderson Silva, Emmanuel Augustus, and Prince Nazim. No, Prince Nazim and Emmanuel Augustus.
Nah, I'll take it. What do you do when you're not training?
When I'm not training, smoke weed and play video games.
What's your favorite video game right now?
Man. Probably Super Smash Brothers. I've been playing a lot of Super Smash Brothers lately.
And last one, when people see you in public, do they say, yo, Violent Bob, or do they go like, yo, Luis?
Oh, no, they definitely, it's always, oh my God, are you Violent Bob Ross? Like, that actually happened to me the other day at Safeway. I'm like walking through, like I said, I smoke a lot of weed. I'm stoned as balls, so I'm just like walking through, just got like in some sweatpants and like a shirt and everything, you know, just doing my thing. And then like some dude stops me with like his friends and everything, and I can tell like he's super excited about it. He's like, are you Violent Bob Ross? And I'm just sitting there, and I know my eyes are like barely open, and I'm looking at him, I'm like, Yeah, and he's like, "Can we get a picture and everything?" And like, so I take a picture with him, and like, I literally, you can't tell if my eyes are open in the picture or not. And I'm just like, fuck it.
You gotta get the shades, man.
Like that's it happens to me all the time. Like I'm almost certain most people don't realize my name's Luis.
Gotcha. All right, well, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day, and could you let the people know where they can find you on social media?
You can find me at Violent Bob Ross on both Instagram and Twitter. That's all one word, Violent Bob Ross. And as well, I'm on Facebook, Violent Bob Ross, Luis Pena. Go ahead and throw me a like. And then, of course, catch me October 12th, UFC Fight Night 161, Jacek versus Waterson. Fight Matt Frevola, October 12th. It'll be fun down in Tampa Bay.
Well, again, I appreciate you coming on, and good luck October 12th.
I appreciate it, man. No problem.
All right, have a good one.
Thank you, you too.